Hello, my name is JoJo. On Wednesday, I had the chance to sit down with Stevie from the LiveTweetingHS Twitter account, an account that has attracted a great deal of fandom attention over the past few months. It was a wonderful interview, and if you haven't seen their tweets or their art, go check them out. A link to their Twitter is in the description. This interview will contain spoilers for Homestuck in its entirety, however, Stevie is not all the way through Homestuck, so please don't send them any spoilers. As of the recording date, they are only part of the way through Act 6. Once again, I'd like to thank Stevie for the interview, and I'd like to thank you, the viewer. The audio quality is not ideal, but everything is as listenable as I could possibly make it. So please, enjoy the interview. Well, thanks for meeting with me. I appreciate it. Your mic sounds really nice.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah.
He goes back and forth. Sometimes he works all right. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes there's feedback. Sometimes there's not.
That sounds about right.
He's finicky.
What kind of microphone is it?
I don't know.
That's fair.
It was on sale at this Amazon return store. It's called Is5, which means everything's $5.
Nice. It sounds great for a $5 mic.
Well,
let me tell you.
It's not necessarily $5, but like once they return it or like the box has been ripped or something, like they can't resell it. So It goes to this store. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. It does its job.
That's good. All right. Well, I got some questions here. Basically, I wanted to do this interview because I really like the live tweeting Homestuck, and I really like the perspective of someone who had never read it before, because there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the fan base right now, which I'm, a part of pretty intensely. I don't know if you've seen like the video essays I've done, stuff like that, but it's a refreshing take. So I just wanted to sort of bottle that lightning in a sense, and talk to the them behind the camera, as it were, because I do like your art and I like your commentary, and it's I don't know if you've kept up on this, but there are people who have been like, infamous parts of Homestuck. They'll post like, oh man, Stevie's about to come to this part, oh no, stuff like that. Have you seen any of that stuff?
I mean, I get people who like at me and stuff, but I don't follow people that post Homestuck because I don't want to get anything spoiled. The only person I follow that posts Homestuck is Dirk Dialectic. And the only reason I do that is because when I was setting up the Twitter account, it made me pick people to follow, and they were recommended when I was like, I want to follow stupid sports stuff. And they're like, you have to follow one. And I was like, okay. So I just typed in Homestuck and the first person that came up.
That's wholesome, actually. I was actually wondering about that, because you are only following 9 people, and I did click on the following tab, and it made sense, like, Andrew Hussey and a couple other creators, and the Homestuck official Twitter. But I did wonder why they were in there. That was kind of funny. I just figured it was because you liked their art or something.
I do really like their art. It's super great.
Oh, yeah.
But they were the ones that made my header for is Act 6, Act 2?
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's my favorite.
Nice. I like that. So what did make you get into Homestuck, since you are not someone who is normally into the Homestuck sort of zeitgeist?
My sister is 10 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been with it since the very beginning.
Nice.
And because of the age difference and how my family's a little crazy, I just started reconnecting with her recently. And she was like, you gotta do it, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. You gotta read it. And I'm like, I'm not reading that, it's stupid. And we ended up making a bad bet.
Yeah, that was in your description. I was wondering about that. What was the bet? If it's like embarrassing, you don't have to tell anybody.
She bet me that I could not consume as much of a thing as I did.
All right. We'll call it. We'll say it's Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah. She was like, you can't do it. And I was like, I can. And she was like, what's it gonna cost you if you lose?
Nice.
I was like, man, I don't know. What do you want? What do you want if I lose? And she's like, why don't you read Homestuck? I was like, fine, all right. It'll take me like 3 days. It's not that big. It's not that big.
Oh man. Yeah, 3 days.
I can tear through a 400-page novel
Mm-hmm.
in like 6 hours. It's not an issue for me.
Right.
I can get through it all. And she was like, okay.
That's really funny.
And I lost, and she was like, I want proof that you're actually reading it. So you don't just like Google characters and then tell me. And I was like, all right. So, Twitter.
Nice. That's really interesting to me because to me it's like you're one of those things that you kind of see around the Homestuck fan base. It's one of the recommended Twitters, and so to know that has started like in earnest from a bet, that's really funny to me because a lot of people are sort of there's you and there's another account called Homestuck but tweeted, which is a similar thing except it's a bot. And people keep up on both of those as sort of a vicarious reread of Homestuck. So to know that yours got started from a bet, that's really funny to me. I think that people would be interested in that. How far are you in Homestuck at this point, which is June 10th?
Let's see. Oh, I actually have the tab pulled up on my computer right now. 4,768.
That's like halfway. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm pretty happy with it. I can't believe I'm still meeting characters this far into it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty. I think the number of characters you meet drops off after Act 6, but the amount of like the amount of shit that happens does not let up. So to that end, how are you enjoying Homestuck so far?
Oh gosh, it's so much fun. A lot better than I thought it would be. Honestly, I wasn't super into the internet. I'm not a part of Tumblr culture or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did, even though me and my sister didn't really have a relationship when I was super young, I still really did admire her, and she was. And so I'm like getting this second wave of like stuff because, well, she watched Doctor Who and Supernatural and Sherlock and
Sure.
Hitalia and stuff like that. And, you know, when I was like 12, 11, 10, I was like, oh man, yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And so I did, and I got into it, and I really liked it, but I wasn't on the internet. And so now I'm coming in as somebody who's only been on social media and stuff for like maybe a year or two.
Sure.
It's wild the amount of stuff that I'm learning about things that I do actually enjoy.
Yeah, that's great. That's a very wholesome sort of, in my opinion, relationship with social media, and it's what a lot of people have comments on your I don't know if you'd call it a project or a live tweeting thing. One of the biggest comments people have said is like how wholesome it is. You know, you're very noticeably like not into discourse, and you're very noticeably sort of, you know, you try to keep it very peaceful and positive on your account, which is something that I think draws a lot of people to that live tweeting.
Yeah. I think I know from my own personal life experience and the way that I grew up and things that I've experienced and stuff like that. And I know that a lot of people have similar bits and pieces that they've probably experienced. And it's just really tiring having to be on the defense all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not fun for anybody involved. So it's not natural. I have to work really, really hard to be positive and upbeat and do nice things. And sometimes I'll miss like a good night or a good morning tweet. And it's because life has really made it hard to look for the good things sometimes. And so, you know, it's it's not a perfect system, but I want to create space where people can just, like, come and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I think to that end you've certainly succeeded because, like I said, a lot of the people they do notice that. Like, that's an outward part of your sort of brand, I guess. I hate to call it a brand because I know you didn't start this for any sort of purpose. It just caught fire, so to speak, in a viral sense. So yeah, I think that's, incredibly wholesome to many degrees. It's a success. On the flip side, I suppose, what have you been spoiled on? What parts of Homestuck have you been spoiled on? I'm curious because I everyone tries to avoid spoilers when it's a live tweet like this, but I'm curious about what you do know about what's in the future, what's coming up.
There's been name, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Faces. But the faces part, with the exception of all but 2, has been pretty unintentional.
Yeah. And you can be specific. I'll make like a disclaimer on this that this is only for people who have read the whole of Homestuck. So you can spoil if you want. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I was spoiled on Dirk and Roxy's name and face by someone who I was actually talking with for quite an extended period of time, and I thought that things were, like, kind of okay. And I was it was safer than it ended up being, which kind of sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But I do make it pretty clear that, like, I block people that spoil things.
Right.
If it's like a name, sometimes people aren't exactly aware of, like, where I'm at. And I'm also aware that, especially in the pages that I'm at right now, there are characters that are coming up between the last 100 pages and the next 100 pages. There's, I've been told that I'm meeting more characters. Mm-hmm. So I'm lenient during those time periods of my reading where people are like, oh, so-and-so's my favorite character. And I'm like, please be careful. I'm not quite there yet. But, then there's faces, like, in profile pictures and stuff like that. I saw Dirk from day one, even though I had no idea who he was yet.
Yeah. I mean, he's like a main guy, so it's really tough. It's really tough not to at least spoil some details about those. Because another thing is they are, like, fan favorites. So there are those people who have, Homestuck 2 profile pictures, or, my profile picture has a Vriska cosplay. So that's probably less of a spoiler, but for all those people, that's, it must be really tough to be actively on Twitter, but also try to avoid those spoilers.
It is, but to a certain extent, there are some things that I don't mind. Like the profile pictures, it is what it is. I have no context. I have no name. I don't actually know anything. As far as I know... You don't know their fate? Yeah, but I mean, as far as I know, they're a fan-created character. I don't know that.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
I'm just along for the ride with it. I mean, it's not too bad. There is some issues that I've come across, as far as character development that happens in the future, that I've been spoiled on, and people's expectations of my reactions to what I consider to be those spoilers.
Yep.
And I have a lot of feelings about it, but for the most part, I try and disregard everything that I learned before I'm supposed to.
Yeah. Frankly, there have been a lot of people who have... This has been a thing since time immemorial. So what I would say is, if you see anything on Twitter like that is trying to be a spoiler, there's just as much chance that it's wrong. Because even, since Harry Potter came out, those books, people were like posting wrong spoilers on forums for a long time. So, even if you read something, I wouldn't necessarily think that it's true. I don't know if that alleviates any of the stress of anything you've seen, but...
To a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, the spoiler... I'm someone who doesn't give a crap about spoilers. Like, if something's spoiled for me, I can still enjoy it. However, on the flip side, I would never try to spoil something for someone else because I've seen how upset it can make people. So to me, it's like kind of screwed up that someone would try to ruin a thing for you.
Yeah, and I think it's not so much that I'm upset about the spoilers, it's that I also have a life, like, outside of this. I want to be able to consume and not consume at my own pace.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the spoiler itself that bothers me, but the expectations that come along with that spoiler, I think.
I see. That makes sense.
If that makes sense.
So, like, I think one of the biggest examples, and this is reflected in your bio right now, is you say specifically no bro, no Vriska talk. Is that related more to spoilers, or is that related more to just the discourse surrounding those characters?
It is a total discourse issue.
Okay. Yeah, I don't blame you for that one. They're probably the two most controversial characters, as you probably know by now.
Yeah, I think I think that the confusion comes in a little bit. Not with Bro. I have absolutely nothing but absolute hate for Bro. I think he's awful.
Yeah. I mean, by Act 6, all you know Bro as is like the guy who was Dave's abusive dad. So I don't blame you for that one.
Yeah, it's kind of yucky,
yeah.
and it makes me feel bad. But like Vriska, I think a lot of the confusion, at least surrounding my opinions, especially because I don't talk about her that much, is the fact that I don't dislike her as a character. I appreciate her as a character. I think she's a good character. She creates a lot of the discourse necessary for plot development and character development of the people around her and things like that. I think she's a really good character. I just don't think she's a good person. Right. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't want to deal with it.
No, that's respectable. And I think anyone who from the Homestuck community who saw No Vriska talk on your bio would immediately understand, sort of like, oh, okay, I get that. Because there's just so much. You also came into the fandom at a time where Vriska was particularly contentious. So yeah. I think what happened was a lot of people just saw you talking about Vriska and maybe took it the wrong way, or, you know, tried to start discourse or something. To me, that's unfortunate, because it's... It takes away from the sort of reading that you want to be doing when you're doing a new read of a property.
Yeah, that's actually my first Vriska tweet was what created my pretty strict no discourse, no spoiler policy.
Oh, yeah. What was the tweet?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It was months ago, but it was basically like, Vriska sucks. Oh yeah,
okay. So
it was my first and she had like tried to murder Tavros by pushing him off the cliff. Like that was it. That was my only introduction, and I was like, screw her, she sucks.
Yep. So yeah, for some context there was a whole, like, outside of, you know, your read through, there's a whole world of Vriska stans and Vriska haters out there, so I'm not surprised. And you would do well to save the Vriska disclaimer, I believe.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's just a whole world that if I had more than the limited amount of characters that I have on Twitter, I might be willing to get into it, but I'm not on Tumblr enough to deal with it.
Oh, yeah.
Nor anywhere else, and so it's just not worth the 40 tweet long thread that would follow.
Yeah, I wouldn't. What I would say as someone who this isn't a spoiler or anything, but I wouldn't worry about Vriska. In the fandom, she's very contentious, but really, as long as you avoid the topic, then people will leave you alone. and it's not hard to avoid the topic since there's so much else to discuss.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty funny. I guess in the same vein, but like, you know, off the topic of shenanigans, who's your favorite character?
Oh man.
If you, I have a feeling I know who you're gonna say, but please tell me.
It's not exactly a secret.
No, it's
I really like the Strider Boys. Dirk right now is my favorite, but I think that's just because I'm getting a lot of his content. But I'm actually I'm very similar to the boys in interests and verbal style when I am not actively trying to not speak that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I lived in Texas for a while, and I have a motorcycle. And
oh, what? You have a motorcycle? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
You got what kind of? I'm sorry to derail from the Strider conversation. We'll immediately get back to this. But what kind of motorcycle do you drive?
It's a Harley.
Oh man.
Kind of my own design. My mom's husband had 3 of them that were kind of broken down, and so I just took the pieces and kind of re-put it back together into
badass.
One that was working.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I would have not expected the soft boy reader of Homestuck would drive a friggin' Harley around. That's awesome.
I honestly is kind of shifting back to brand, but like it's really all it is. It's a brand off the internet world. I refuse to call it real life because the internet is also real life.
Sure.
I have a variety of interests, and most of them don't align with what people have fronted me as, which mostly comes out to be some sort of cottage core worm-loving soft boy. Which, I mean, I do love worms. They're not wrong. But, you know, I also do a lot of mechanics and hydraulics and repairs. I build a lot of stuff and do a lot of woodworking.
That's really cool.
I do mixed martial arts, and
nice.
I play a wide variety of instruments, from strings to brass to woodwinds to percussion.
That's awesome. I actually got my degree is in composition, so I do a lot of music stuff too. We can, you know, that we can talk about that off the old stream, but that's really cool. I guess I'm not surprised. Because, you know, everyone has that sort of hidden depth and those hobbies and whatnot, but it's interesting because that it's not out of step with your brand. It's just surprising, but it does explain a lot of your love for Dirk, because he's also very sort of Dave and Dirk are both, you know, creatively, musically inclined, but also they have that sort of mechanical side, especially Dirk. With his creating of the robots and whatnot, so that's pretty interesting to, you know, some of the background stuff.
Oh man, I could go into why I love those 2 boys so much, and at the end of the day, it really comes down to the fact that we have a stupid amount of similarities.
Right.
Me and Dave, I got a Dead Things collection. I have a little box of bones that I keep. I would like a wet specimens collection. But at the moment, because of COVID, I had to move back in with my mom because they kicked me out of the university dorms. Mm-hmm. And she said absolutely not.
Next time she says that, say, "Whatever, bro."
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that would go over. But I really do. Me and Dave have the same speaking style, rambling with a lot of weird metaphors.
Sure.
When I get super flustered, because the years that I spent in Texas were during a lot of my developmental years, I lose the dead center Midwestern accent and pick up something that sounds a lot more Southern. Sure.
There was in that vein, there was also a headcanon a while ago, and this got reflected, and this was like in the fandom in 2012, so digging this up might be difficult, but if you can find him, it's awesome. But there was this headcanon that when Dave got stressed out, he would like move back into his Texan accent, and there were a lot of comic rereads on YouTube that would reflect that, and it was adorable hearing Dave's sort of Texan accent coming out. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's only fun until you're angry and you're like fighting with somebody, and then all of a sudden it sounds like you got throat punched by somebody from Alabama.
That's funny.
So it's it's a little messy, but it's fun for the people around me. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I like to build, and I like to do circuitry, and I like my fair share of shitty movies, and I'm awful at video games, but I still do play them. I don't know. There's just a lot of little things that I'm like, oh man, yeah, me and the Striders, same hat.
Same hat. Same hat, literally. I want to see Dirk wear a hat. It's,
he wouldn't mess up his hair.
Yeah. That's true. Well, so the common thought is that, and this isn't a spoiler, it's just like a headcanon, but the common thought is that Bro wears a hat, but Dirk does not, because Bro is bald on top. I don't know if you've heard that before, but that's pretty funny.
Oh gosh, that's awful.
But,
I hate it.
Yeah. In that same vein, then, who's your least favorite character? Who can you just not give a crap about?
I'm going to avoid saying Bro because I just refuse to acknowledge him and the fact that he exists. But as far as characters that I don't like, I don't really know if I can say that I don't like any characters.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, you don't have to have an answer. I mean, a lot of people like front to back, like they like all the characters, especially those who have not read the whole thing yet, necessarily.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. There's a lot of characters that I could see possibly becoming my favorite or least favorite, but there's just not been a whole lot of screen time or development.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people complain about to this day, is that certain characters haven't gotten any development. I won't name any because obviously that would be a spoiler. But to anyone who's listening back to this, they'll know exactly who the hell I'm talking about. Like, there are a lot of popular characters that were sort of thrown away by the author in a sense.
I've heard that when I've said, "Oh, this person's my favorite," or "Oh, I really like them." Everybody's like, "I'm sorry for you." I was like, "Yo, okay, thanks."
Yeah.
So I do have some idea of the throwaway characters or whatever you'd like to call them. I still do enjoy what screen time that I've gotten. And as far as I'm concerned, there's really not a whole lot of Homestuck canon, considering the fact that there's a lot of Word of God stuff that happens. Like, Hussy's just like, this is real, and everybody's like, cool, and then it never shows up. Or, especially with the epilogues, I've heard that there's a lot of crazy things that happen there. Mm-hmm. That are all dubiously canon, and so nothing's really set in stone. So I'm a firm believer in that you make what you want to be real. So if you want that development, go out there and make it. Just do it.
That's actually a great sentiment, and that's one that a lot of the creators of the epilogues have said. Their sentiment was pretty much, if you don't like what we wrote, just write your own shit. Pretty much. That was not satisfying to a lot of people, but to me that's very sort of in the spirit of Homestuck itself. And I'm really glad that you picked up on that, because that's something that is sort of in the new, what's the word? I don't know, zeitgeist of Homestuck, is the sort of sense that you can just... Because, like you said, for instance, like Nepeta, there's... before Act 6, there's not much development, but there's a lot of fanfic out there with Nepeta in it, because there's a lot of people who relate to her, or these headcanons that have been around for a long time. Like I said, the Strider, Texas one, people started making stuff about that. And that's one of the most beautiful things about Homestuck, is that these characters are ambiguous enough that we can project anything we want onto these people. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
My next question is, you answered this in a sense with your sister, who got you into Homestuck in a way. But how much did you know about the fandom going in? Like before? Nothing? Zilch?
I knew nothing. I think it was my second or third tweet. I was like, how long is this anyway? Like 200 pages?
Oh no.
Oh my god, 8,124 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah. Or
yeah.
People think, they see that number and they think, oh, it'll just be panels. No. They have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and because I'm not, have never been and will not ever claim to be internet savvy, as far as social media goes, I just kind of I had no idea what I was walking into.
You see, that's one of the things that I think is so wholesome about this project, or this phenomenon, or whatever you call it, is you really do, and you just sort of take it on the chin and are reading it in a very fresh way, which a lot of people did not get, because during the early times that I read it, like you said, I was on Tumblr, so everything was spoiled for me. So in that sense, it wasn't fresh, and there were a lot of discourse elements to it too. So in a way, it's kind of capturing this idealistic way that people either remember reading Homestuck for the first time through you, or they're getting a reading of Homestuck that they never got to have because of the forums, or because of the Tumblr discourse, or because of YouTube, or whatever. So yeah. It's kind of a nice thing.
I really enjoy it, and I think something that makes it super easy, or what makes it enjoyable for other people, is that I didn't start this with it was for my sister. She's not on Twitter, but I do periodically screenshot and send her things and
nice
stuff like that. But it was for me to chronicle my adventure. It was
that's I keep saying wholesome, but that really is. That's very, very wholesome.
It was just me screaming into the void, like, oh, what is this? Like, the very first panel, I was like, is this real? Is this happening? Am I absolutely sure this is the right comic? Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be reading right now?
Oh, yeah. That's a huge comment from the... Early Homestuck is so much different. So much different.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a wild ride, but I still enjoyed it, and I still like it, and yeah, I don't know, it's something else, but I do like it, and I've made some of the best friends I've ever had over the past 3 months that I've been reading.
That's so sweet.
I'm really, really having such a wonderful time.
That's great to hear, actually. That was kind of my next question is, do you think, now that you're more integrated into the fandom and people are following you and you're following people back, do you think that you'll stick around?
I don't know. I suppose I don't really mind either way, which seems kind of silly. I mean, it kind of goes back to where I started. I didn't do this for other people. I did it for myself, and people just happened to, like this crazy road trip and hopped on, and so I'm glad that people are enjoying it and coming with me on their journey. But nobody has to stick around and do whatever. If they decide that my content isn't right anymore, then feel free to unfollow. I know I've got my core group of friends that I chat with pretty regularly now. And I know that they're in it for the long haul, really. So
who are? Do you want to give a shout out to anyone who you've made friends with?
Oh man. There's Butler and Cass and Slip and Max, and oh my gosh, so many others. I can't even. I could not even begin to try and piece together all the names. I talked to probably between 10 and 12 people, and it is definitely a lot. I also wouldn't trade it for anything, and I always encourage people to feel free to message me on whatever. I'm not very good at messaging first because my life is a little busy. At the moment, I have 9-hour days going to class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have to on the weekends, and starting the 24th of this month, I work the night shift.
Jeez. You're a hard worker.
Maybe. I don't like to sit still.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I can't... I mean, putting this together was sort of like my version of... Right now I'm on unemployment, so I'm not used to sitting still whatsoever. My job was like 40 to 50 hours a week, so now that I'm doing 0, I've got to fill my time with something.
Yeah. I work in the medical field, and that's the only reason why I've managed to stay sane. Mm-hmm. Is because I get to work. And which has been a whole crazy wild ride experience in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's I don't sleep very much, and everybody seems very concerned about that. But I feel like I've got so many things to do. I write, I draw, I animate, I play music. I can't stop creating and thinking and discovering and putting new things out there.
Yeah, that's great. That's the spirit of Homestuck, baby.
Yeah, that's right. It's got me into a lot of different things, and honestly, it's got me into a lot of digital stuff. Like as far as animation and art that I'm doing now. I never took art classes, but I did get into it on my own, and I worked exclusively 3x4 pieces of paper with oil pastels, and now I'm drawing on my computer. It's nice. It's kind of crazy.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, your art is very good. It's I think you did a couple people's profile pictures, right?
I don't know. People just sent me stuff and were like, "Hey, look at this! Isn't this really cool?" And I was like, dang, I want to draw that. I don't know where a lot of this stuff came from. Mm-hmm. I was just kind of like, can I draw this? And they were like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, nice. Cool. And then I drew it.
That's cool. Yeah, I think my favorite one is that I've seen is the Dirk with the twin tails on your profile. That was you, right? Did you draw that one?
No, that was not me. That was, oh my gosh, hold on. I don't know what their app is. Let me find it real quick. It's, oh man, it was so good. I made a tweet and I was like, I don't have my drawing tablet. It hasn't come in the mail yet. I'm begging you, will somebody please draw this? Please.
That's awesome.
And probably Nephidakin is the one who drew it, but their @ is x_clownenergy_x. It was, I messaged them and I was like, please, I'm begging you, can I please use this as my profile picture? And they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course, go ahead.
That's wholesome.
Thank you.
It's a great profile picture. I think it encapsulates sort of personality that you seem to have on and off the Twitter feed. Dirk, who is very much Dirk and sort of smug, but also he's looking stylish.
Yeah, this is another side thing creation that I do is I make clothes a lot, which I find to be a very enjoyable experience. Joann's in my area has shut down because of COVID, which has made me very sad.
Yep.
But I found some fabric and I was making scrunchies, just to give to family because I don't know, I feel weird about selling things that I've made. I was thinking about the Strider Boys, and I was like, somebody please give me the Striders with scrunchies in their hair. Like give me 90 scrunchy Striders. I need it.
Oh God, that's perfect.
I need it now. And a lot of people provided.
That's awesome.
A lot of people.
That's one of the best things about Twitter, though, is these wholesome sort of interactions where people just help each other. It's very nice.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's great that you seem so creative. I really like to see that in people and sort of foster it in the world. The whole reason I'm doing this is, like I've said, it feels kind of hostile in the old Homestuck space right now. So bringing to light anything that I can that is wholesome and positive, which you have seemed to be, inwardly and outwardly, it's a good thing. And I think you're really making this community better, whether you feel involved in it or not. Have you felt any of that?
I don't know. I have kept myself pretty closed off, just because I really don't like spoilers. I really want to
Oh, yeah. You want to avoid that.
I really want to be as blind as I can. So even, and because of the time and effort and work I put into being soft, it doesn't come naturally to me, but because of the effort that I've put into that, it seems that a lot of people that have showed up are the same way. So I haven't really had a whole lot of exposure to anything negative. I think maybe 3 or 4 people throughout this entire experience I've had to block, but everything else has been nothing but kindness.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's a really positive interaction with the space, because I like I said, I did check your following just because I was curious, and I noticed you weren't following many Homestucks, and I thought that in a way that that was obviously for spoiler reasons. People just drop casual spoilers on their page a lot, so you'd have to pretty much mute everybody who you followed anyway. It's sort of you have a unique position in that you are sort of in control of what you see on your timeline, and I've always said that. If you see bullshit on your timeline, just get rid of it,
Yeah.
And you're kind of a more extreme example of that, but I think it speaks to the correctness of that sort of adage, which is you get what you see, and you have clearly had a lot of people come to you and be positive, which is a nice feeling.
It really is. And I mean, once I'm done consuming Homestuck and the epilogues and probably Friendsim and Pester Quest 2, because a lot of people seem to really, really enjoy that.
There's also a comic that people sort of forget, which is Paradox Space, which is it's like a side comic. It's just pretty much little side stories. But there's also there's a lot of reading that can go into it. Like this incredibly handsome person made something called the Vriscumentary. Mm-hmm. And it's a feature length documentary about Vriska. You can also check that out. It's pretty cool. Or there's on YouTube. There's also what's his name? Optimistic Duelist has made a lot of analysis videos about Homestuck. So there's a lot of if you're into it, there's a lot of extra bonus content out there. It seems to me like you're the type of person who might like that. So
I really do. In fact, my 2 big things right now is class specs 100%. I always want to hear about them. I always want to know about them. I want to know your take. I want to know everybody's take. Tell me everything. And really, I'm a little bit of a psychology buff.
Sure.
I own a lot.
Okay, Rose.
What?
Okay,
No.
Rose. I'm just kidding.
That was something that. Oh, you talk about class specs. That was something that came back in the very beginning of my Twitter. It was everybody's like, "Oh, seer, you're a seer." Ah ha ha. And I think to a certain extent, I mean, I definitely do have a lot of those aspects. I really like knowing about things. I really like understanding how and why they work.
Yeah. Have you seen She-Ra by any chance?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. I have a bunch of She-Ra Claspect pictures, but I'll save those.
I'm pretty sheltered as far as watching things go.
Gotcha.
Like I said before, I've seen Doctor Who, which I grew up on. I've seen Supernatural, Sherlock, Italia, a pretty wide variety of anime, actually. And that's pretty much it.
Are you familiar with Ranma 1/2, the anime?
Mm-mm.
Okay. That one's I don't know what started this. It was me and Plaz Noodles, who was on Twitter as well. We just got a brainworm for Ranma 1/2, and then like a bunch of Homestucks came out of the woodwork and were like, "Hey, I watched that too." It's like an 80s anime.
I love Plaz so much. I cannot wait to get to follow them. I know that there are spoilers, so I don't touch it.
I was gonna say I feel really bad for saying this, but Plaz is really good to follow. But there will be spoilers if you follow her because she posts a lot of art.
Yeah. So it's.
Oh, she does have a webcomic. I should tell you this. Have you seen her webcomic, Stellar Labs?
No.
I'll give that a shout out on the old thing here. There's a Discord for that. Ah, shoot! Now I gotta find the link. I'll get that to you after we're done here. But I guess like mini shout out to Plazzy Noodles, Stellar Labs. She's making it with a person named Void. It's a 2-man project. It's really good. Good art.
Oh man, I absolutely cannot wait.
Yeah, it's one of those webcomic projects. It's really good, but it also is just not. There's nothing out yet, so it's like more excitement than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or have you ever heard of Godhead? It's another webcomic project by someone who makes. By a person named Carmi. I don't know what their ad is, but it's Godhead. It's at SpicyYeti.com. It's a very interesting story. You can check that out too. It's more things to look at. But
always more things.
Are you familiar? So, are you familiar with any other webcomics?
Nope.
Okay.
If you ask me if I know something, unless it's like late 90s to 2000s anime, the answer is probably going to be no.
Gotcha. So yes to One Piece, no to Free.
I won't watch One Piece because it has like thousands of episodes.
You're not the first. This okay. First of all, valid. Second of all, that's what they say about Homestuck. So
okay, that's true. But consider this: you have more control over how fast you read something as opposed to how fast you watch something.
That's
You're
true.
stuck with a set amount of time.
You're Homestuck with anime, you could say. Sorry. That's pretty bad.
You're wrong. Yeah, but see, even a little bit into the early 2010s, one that I recently watched was Yuri on Ice. That was pretty good.
Nice.
I've got Fruits Basket, Blue Exorcist, Soul Eater. Oh man, so many. So any of the Studio Ghibli movies were delightful.
I can see the dirt coming out.
They're so good. Oh man, Princess Jellyfish, top tier anime.
Oh,
12
no one knows
episodes.
about that one. I love Princess Jellyfish. I own the They have like 3 volumes of manga, and I own all of them, and it's awesome.
It's so good.
I read it before there was an anime, and when the anime came out, I was so afraid because it deals with a lot of like trans stuff. So I was like, they're gonna fuck this up, but they did not. It was really good.
Man, it was.
What a good one.
It was good. It was good.
Do you think Dirk would like Princess Jellyfish?
Oh my god! Not to be excessively same hat to Dirk here, but I feel like if I enjoy it, he probably would get some enjoyment out of it as well. But also, he's a fictional character and doesn't exist. So.
Oh yeah, I was forgetting about that.
Me too. Sometimes it's bad.
No, it's There's actually I was watching a whole sort of video essay about this. It was about Abed Nadir specifically from community. But it was basically talking about parasocial relationships and how they can actually be very healthy, especially if as long as you do realize that they're not a real person deep down. If you form these relationships and attachments to fictional characters, it can help you navigate your own life, and that's really why we have fiction. So I would not be ashamed of your Dirk love, and I would not be ashamed of projecting on them.
I'm really not. Although I feel like it says something that I relate to him so much and also love him. I feel like that says something about me as a person. I'm not really sure exactly what that is, but it's definitely something.
Say you're a cool dude who has a lot of swag.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really. Yeah, I love him so much.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
You know, it's, character relationships are really important to me, and also the deep delving within and understanding, or at least not necessarily understanding accurately, but coming up with my own internal monologue on characters and why and how they act a certain way. I mean, a couple days ago I was reading on, like, not the psychological love languages, not as in touch, time spent, acts of service, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, like, types of love that people show.
Yeah.
Like the pleaser, the controller, the passive. There's like a whole psychological subset. But I was reading and I was like, oh man, I need to immediately stick all characters under one of the 5 types.
Yeah, I remember I did an assignment when I was taking my original first minor was psychology. So one of the projects we did was we were learning about disorders, and you know it was anything from ADHD to depression to whatever. And one of the most fun things was assigning fictional characters a diagnosis, and you know. Real people are more complicated, but it's fun. It's fun putting characters in these boxes and sort of applying real life structures to fictional characters.
Oh gosh, yeah, it gives me a lot of validation, I think.
Yeah.
I see people and they're like, oh yeah, this character definitely like this, and I was like, oh man, okay, I thought I was like this character and I deal with that, so yes.
Yeah. One of the biggest things is trans headcanons, or I have ADHD, so whenever I see an ADHD headcanon, I'm like, yes, that's good.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
I'm pretty freewheeling as far as gender and sexuality goes. I'm kind of like, I don't know, do we vibe?
Nice.
And because of the life situation that I'm at, I don't have the, despite being an adult, I don't have the benefit to dress and act how I would like to present myself to the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm working on it, and that is pretty cool too.
I've seen your posts about wanting to appear more androgynous, and I really liked seeing that because Twitter, for me, has been a way to sort of just seeing the amount of people who are supportive to that type of thing is really wholesome, in my opinion.
It's wonderful. I have pretty long hair, and there is no amount of baggy clothing that I can wear that can hide the fact that I was born a lady. And also my voice is pretty high. Which are things that, well, I
think your voice is actually pretty. This is me speaking from, like, I've had a lot of exposure to trans people, so this might color my. But I think your voice sounds pretty androgynous to me. And I do know a lot of. There's one specific trans man who will know who he is when he's listening to this. I won't call him out because I don't know how much he wants that, but he really owns the feminine thing. which to me was like, so I don't think it has anything to do with that, if that makes you feel any better.
I really appreciate that. It's kind of an insecurity, especially doing like the live streaming of reading and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know what voices I can pull off and what ones I can't, and
what's your can you do a Dirk voice?
I refuse to expose my Texan accent.
Oh no. Have you heard my this is a shameless plug, but I did a Strider Bro rap. Did you hear that one? I think some people might have linked it to you.
You did. Yes, that was really fun for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked that one, because you are the target audience. You and anyone like you who feels about Dirk is the target audience. And I feel like a lot of people got on there who don't like Dirk, and they were like, haha, what an idiot.
Boo.
So,
I thought it was fun.
Nice.
I love created content, especially for Homestuck.
Oh, God,
and some
yeah.
people are like, if I'm like, oh, send me art, because I've now crested over a wave that the next hill or plot thing of Homestuck. I'm like, oh, send me your stuff. And everybody's like, oh, can I send you music? Can I send you my cosplay? Can I send you something that's different that I created that's not necessarily something that I drew? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yes!
Feed it to me. Yeah, exactly.
Send me and I know that some people are like, ugh, cringe, but send me your fanfic. I don't care. I'll read it. I'm a literature nerd.
Nice.
I'm about 4 pages deep into explaining how I write and how to improve your writing without actually not necessarily being better at speaking the English language.
Sure.
And I'm weird about it. So like,
no, it's this is, to me, like, as a creative person, especially in the music sort of industry, there's this sort of knee-jerk reaction to be almost defensive about your own work and sort of, I don't know, like, I'm sure you've seen it. People are like, they're either defensive about their own work to the point where it's kind of, unfortunate, or they like they'll always be a critic instead of just taking in new stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really makes me happy to see someone else, especially in the Homestuck community, where this feeling is very common. To see someone who's like, yeah, show me, like, please, for the love of God. And an artist who builds up other artists, in my opinion, is one of the most valuable and fantastic things you can be.
Oh, thanks. I really stick to my guns. It was a tweet that I made a couple days ago. It's something that I hadn't really said aloud before, but sometimes I think actions speak more than words. People are like, oh, but my art, it's so shitty.
Yeah.
And,
I whenever I see that, I always feel bad, because either someone has told them that and they have taken it to heart, or they think that because they've never shown their stuff off, which is always an opportunity for me to be like, please, for the love of God, show me your shit. I beg of you.
Yes! And I'm like, I don't care if you drew it with a dying dry erase marker board marker, and it doesn't matter if the lines are straight. It doesn't matter if they're shading. You know what matters? The whole point of art is to make you feel something. When I look at that art, it makes me feel something. It's good art.
Yeah.
Like, art is meant to be provoking. It's meant to make you think or feel or change your perception. And
or in my case, I can just write. Well, no, that's a spoiler. No, it's not a spoiler. I won't say it just to be safe. What I mean is just I write things to hurt people on purpose.
Mm.
Like, one of the things that helped me cope with some of the choices I didn't like in Homestuck or non-Homestuck is to just write, like, really upsetting fan fiction.
Mm.
And that's fun. People seem to like that. I write that for like my own sake, but people loved it. People love getting hurt for some reason.
There is something easing about seeing your own hurts and frustrations voiced in art, and I think it has a lot to do with feeling like you're not alone. So even if it's theoretically like upsetting, people find it and look at it and they're like, man, you know what? I thought the same things, or I felt the same things, or I've seen and experienced similar things, or at least this makes me feel similar emotions to that experience. And they identify with it.
Yeah. I think I agree. I mean, that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I think what you said is people enjoy sort of the empathy aspect of it. They just like to sort of empathize with the characters. I guess, we went a little longer than I even thought because you're honestly just so fun to talk to. But my final question for you is, what is I guess, how do you like Homestuck so far, and what's your favorite part?
Oh, man. I really, really love Homestuck. I think people kind of discredit it for the pieces that are often used to portray it. What is it? Like the third panel, when it's vacillating, or it's going back and forth between Zeus Melhoop Lord and John, that's the concept, whatever. And people really use that to put a face to Homestuck. And I think it does Homestuck a serious disservice because it's thought-provoking. It is these kids who are, now at this point of where I'm at, are between 14 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not experiencing childhood. They're experiencing something completely different. And to go through, especially if you are not of... There's a lot of identification of self and a lot of empathizing with maybe not necessarily the odd situations, but the feelings and reactions that go along with them, especially if you're not a straight, white, rich, upper-class person. There's a lot of missing pieces, or people from minority communities, experiences that I feel are represented in it. There's a lot of, whether it's canon or not, there's a lot of trans and queer coding and characters.
Yep. There's
so many of these little bits and pieces that can be grabbed and applied. I'm not super emotional. I'm not a crier. I don't like to cry. I think it's gross. Not to say that other people crying is gross. I just don't like the headaches and the snot that comes with it.
Yeah. Oh man, I haven't cried in my ex-wife left me a couple years ago, and I didn't even cry then because it was like this. In my opinion, I totally agree. To many people, it is a closure thing, and it makes them feel a lot better after a good cry. The only thing I want after a good cry is an ibuprofen.
Yeah.
So
where's my Tylenol Excedrin? I can feel them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. It's there's a lot of inferences to be drawn, and it's a very rich lore. There's a lot of things that aren't written.
Yeah. And I think that's the best thing about Homestuck is it doesn't matter who you are, what you've experienced, what your life is. You can identify.
Yeah.
with the experience of Homestuck. I hate crying. I am not a crier. I cried once, and it wasn't when a character died or whatever. It was just this moment of pure, I am looking myself in the face, I relate, or I don't see myself in the media. I don't see myself in the content that I consume, and now I'm sitting here and I'm looking my own experiences in the face. It's such a wild concept to finally be seen, I think, as a human being. I mean, we're social creatures, whether we want to be or not.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It's really good.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite part? Let's discount Act 6 for now because, this isn't a spoiler, but Act 6 is the rest of the thing. So we'll discount that because you haven't read the whole thing.
Wait, hold on. Act 6 is the rest?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's this whole thing. Like I said, this isn't a spoiler. It's just like a structural thing. So.
No, I'm very particular about what I consider spoilers, and that has to do with one of three things: names and places, character development, and plot. That was none of those things. You don't have to worry about it. But that's just
it's just in the broadest terms, without even the possibility of spoilers. It's the first half is Acts 1 through 5, and Act 5 end is the halfway point, or Disc 1 and 2. I think you've gotten that far, so. And then Act 6 is the rest, but it breaks it up. You'll see. And then there's Act 7, which is the final one. But
holy shit! All right.
Yeah. That's something you might not notice, even if you read through the whole thing. You're like, oh shit, the whole. Anyway, we'll just call Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay. I enjoyed the experience of Act 1 and Act 2, and getting the amount of character info dump that I did. Despite people being like, no, info dump, don't do that in your writing. I'm like, do it, tell me. Doc Scratch, I hate him, but I love the fact that he just world builds for no apparent reason, and that's all his dialogue.
Yeah, he really does just show up, change the background and be like, alright, now it's Doc Scratch time. I'm gonna tell you about things for the next couple hundred pages.
It's good, okay? I'm weird about it,
but
I like it. I think it's good. It helps me digest and put things in boxes.
Right.
A part of that is I'm very good at picking out and identifying little things that a lot of people miss.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people were like, hey, it's a seer! And I'm like, it's just look. It's right there.
That's very seer of you to say, I think. I think that... Oh, it's raining outside. Sorry if you can hear that. But, I think I agree. The Homestuck is one just 8,000 page info dump, in my opinion. There's panels to go along with it to sort of help it go down, but it breaks a lot of rules of narrative. You hear all the time about show don't tell, but even though there's a visual medium to Homestuck, there's a lot of tell don't show. Things happen off screen and we just kind of accept it. Or one of the common complaints is the lands. There's not enough lore about the lands or suburb in general, and that's the whole point of Homestuck. But really, at the end of the day, it's you take what you can get.
Yeah.
And it's a great story otherwise, so it doesn't really matter.
I understand the complaints about it, but honestly, it's I would go so far as to say it's a benefit. It gives you a half-finished canvas that you can fill in however it pleases you. I think that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I think, I think it's beautiful that, this conversation is possible with even someone who's only read half the fucking comic. But I guess in closing, I'll end this out for the, it's been about an hour, so we'll cut it off there. But it was great interviewing you. I've done this a lot of times, never for sort of recreational purposes, but this was one of the most fun interviews I've ever conducted. You're a great subject. I can't wait to hear what people have to say on YouTube about this. I can't wait to share it with everyone on Twitter. I know a lot of people are following your thing. I can't wait for, I can't wait to find out what stuff you think about just all the batshit insane things that happens in the future. I'm sure many people have told you this, but I think I learned a lot about you, and I think a lot of people would be interested in knowing this. So I really appreciate you talking to me.
I appreciate the invite. It was kind of surprising, and really fun. I don't know. A lot of people seem to see me as some sort of internet figurehead, and I'm just like,
yeah. I think it's less. To me, it's less that, and it's more like you just encapsulate a lot of the things about the fandom without any of the bullshit of the fandom, and a lot of people like that. You're very open, and you invite people in. You put your name on there, and I think you're a lot more open than you give yourself credit for, because there are a lot of artists on Twitter right now who don't even have their names out. You do streams. You're very open about your opinions on the work. I would say, if there's anything, I would just learning that you have so many dimensions. I think a lot of people, again, you don't give yourself enough credit. A lot of people would really like to know that you ride motorcycles. That was awesome to learn. But is there anyone you want to plug? Is there any specific artist or anyone outside or inside of Homestuck that you want to give a shout out to before I end the old recording?
Oh gosh.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I have a bit of a laundry list, which makes me slightly bad. But let's just say, I love Dirk Dialectic, and I know they have an art account, but I don't know the name of that. I don't know the @
I'll find it. I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
And Starlight Harper is their @ on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I love Harper. Very silly, but very fun art. Oh, yeah?
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's raining here, so I don't know if it's going to cut out or what.
No. I'm... Connection's iffy. I'm in Wisconsin right now, and the hurricane that hit,
mm-hmm.
We are having what is classified as a tropical storm, and it is the first tropical storm my state has ever had.
Nice. Well, stay safe out there, I guess. Well. I'm gonna turn the recording off just because on my end it might cut out, and I want to have a clean recording. So just say goodbye to everybody. I don't know who will watch this, but whoever does, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too, and bye everyone.
Yeet.